Hey guys, hope everything's going well. You guys know the drill. Smash the like button, subscribe if you haven't, comment down below. Follow me on Instagram at AIH_sports. Alrighty, hopefully the text isn't as small as my other video. I used to use OBS software that didn't record properly, so I changed my software. Couldn't find one. I finally believe that I found a good software. Anyways, I wanted to look at some of the charts here, and this is looking at some 2016 numbers versus 2021. So 2016, I see in the comment section, and I've done my research, that the cards, especially vintage, had a great year. And you could probably compare that to 2021 in the sports card market for the high end. But let me take a look at some of these cards, some of these vintage cards. I'll look at one example. Roberto Clemente, number 164. I've talked about this before. PSA 8, okay? I'm over at PSA's website. And if you notice here, the auction price realized, you see a huge run up, okay? You see, okay, not that much, 35,000, then 61,000, then went to 150,000, then went crashing down. And then in 2017, you see lows like 20,000, 26,000, 25,000, okay? And you see the price is extremely high. And Clemente is obviously the old generation's Kobe Bryant, you could argue. Okay, next card I want to look at is Mickey Mantle PSA 5, and I did talk about this in another video, but I wanted to show you the graph. It's the 1952 Mickey Mantle number 311 PSA 5. Okay, and if you notice in 2016, I found a similar pattern where it's 31,000, 72 went to 77,000 at its peak, and then in 2017, you could see once again you see a huge depreciation. Now, some people may argue, okay, you're only looking at certain grades to meet your thesis that, okay, vintage cards went down and you're looking at interest rates, you're looking at the Federal Reserve. But I wanted to look at the PWC market index. And if you look at this over here, 2017. So this looks at the ROI since 2008, January 2008. And if you look at it, it was what, 320%. It went up since 2008, starting in January. And then if you go to the end of the year, December, it depreciated to about 244%. And what consists of the PWCC 100? Some cards like, I don't know, the Mickey Mantle's 311, PSA 8. They look at the Hank Aaron, PSA 9, Mickey Mantle, PSA 8. They're talking about some of these good cards out there. And they try to index it like the S&P 500, but it's only looking at the top 500 cards. Now, if you look at the effective, I wanted to look at now the Federal Reserve. And if you look at the interest rates, you could see, yes, I finally got it. Okay, 2016, I've talked about this numerous times. The Federal Reserve raised interest rates about approximately 3 times from 2017 to 2018. And my thesis has been all along that the Federal Reserve, their unwinding of the balance sheet had to deal with the sports card market going down. And if you could see PWCC's index, it went down, right? And then it stayed constant, and then boom, right? It went up. It went up like crazy. Okay. And if you look at what 2020, I mean, a lot of it, there are vintage cards in this index, but they just shot up like crazy. And I attribute it to the 0% interest rate policy, money supply increased like crazy. So people want to park their money in different securities. Now, I showed you the Federal Reserve, 2016 what they did, 2017 what they did with the Fed policy, or in 2017 I showed you the policy, but I want to show you the expected Fed funds rate. And this is over at the CME. If you look at right now, January, this basically means take 100 minus 99.92. So that means that it says it's what, 8 basis points. So interest rates basically are at zero. This is what the traders are forecasting, okay? This is what they trade. This is a huge contract, by the way. So it's not like some YouTuber can influence this market. This is sophisticated money. Institutions play around with this. And this is saying 99.03. So if you take 100 minus 99.03, that's close to 1. So that means it's almost 100 basis points, meaning 4 interest rate hikes, because each interest rate hike is 25 basis points. So I don't think we're going to get 4 basis points, but this is what sophisticated traders are pricing in. Jamie Dimon said that we're going to have 6 interest rate hikes. I don't believe that. We could have 3, okay? So I'm just looking at this. I'm like, whoa, last time they raised interest rates, we saw this. Now, does it mean it's going to happen? No. Let me reiterate that. I mean, you could look at a few factors that may be a little different. I did say that the high end will take a beating, or I predicted that in one of my videos. Where I could be wrong is that in 2016, it started with 2015, by the way, interest rates were going negative. This is the 5-year tips. I was looking at the 10-year tips the other day, okay? 5-year tips was positive in 2015. And in 2016, they went negative, okay? Negative interest rates, as I mentioned yesterday, they're bullish for collectibles. So you're looking at this over here, and some people say, oh, it went up because of manipulation. Could it have gone up because in negative interest rates, you had negative interest rates, and then on top of it, what happened in 2017? Oh, this negative turned into positive. And where are we? 55 basis points, okay? That's where they were at. And you didn't see it top out until November. And luckily, I got in here. Now, I didn't plan on getting in at that moment. I just was at the right place in the right time. And then over time, I saw the market go up like crazy. Then I started investigating. Okay, let me look at the Federal Reserve, the Fed funds rate, to try to figure out why the sports card market went insane, okay? So then fast forward to today, the negative interest rates on the 5-year tips this is not updated, but I think it's different, but it says minus 1.24 as of January 10th, okay? And if you look at it just in November, it was negative 1.90. So this is when the Fed says, hey, we're unwinding the balance sheet. We're not going to be purchasing $80 billion of treasury bonds. We're not going to be buying $40 billion worth of MBS, aka mortgage-backed securities, to artificially keep interest rates low. So now we're in an environment where they're not going to buy that stuff to prop up the market and keep interest rates very, very low. They're still going to be historically low, but this is the direction we're moving in right now. Does it mean that it's going to go to positive tomorrow? No. And if I had to make a bet, right, this thing is going to go back up here. Now, when is that going to be? Maybe 2023, 2024, but the reality is we don't have stimulus like we did in March of 2020, okay? It's not just, I see comments saying like, oh, you're saying the market went up because they gave us checks to play around the market. No, there was a lot of other things going on. The Federal Reserve injected so much liquidity to keep the Fed funds rate at 0, which is, in my opinion, bullish for commodities. And then on top of it, in June, they were buying mortgage-backed securities, like I mentioned, $40 billion a month, and then $80 billion a month in treasury bonds. So then you saw rates just go negative. And then, yes, you have inflation. And when you look at TIPS, by the way, that's looking at the interest rates, the 5-year interest rate, the treasury interest rate minus the expected inflation, okay? So based on the data that I'm looking at, it's pricing in that inflation is going to be less in the coming years. Right now, inflation is high, okay? I'm not looking at current inflation. Current inflation is ridiculous, right? They said, what, 7%? Or I don't know what it is. That's like pretty bad. And you could argue it's more because they play around with the numbers. I'm looking at more of a long-term thing, long-term chart. And the reason why I look at a long-term chart is because, when you're investing, most people, by the way, they're not flipping for 1 month, 2 months like they were in 2020, 2021. Sophisticated investors, people with big money, they're looking for a longer-term play. And if I'm looking at this and I see, okay, this thing is going to go up positive interest rates. So people are buying in a negative interest rate environment where the prices are hot. But if this trend continues, prices will not be as hot as they are. Granted, will everything crash and burn? No. Will there be opportunities? Yes. Am I telling you not to collect? No. I'm collecting too. I'm investing still, but it's under the radar stuff that I'm looking at. And in regards to 2021, I see somewhat, not of a similar pattern, but you could see, right? They're starting to raise rates. Rates went positive. And I don't think it's going to go completely positive in the next month, like I said, but the trend clearly, in my opinion, is up for positive interest rates. And that is, in my opinion, bearish for collectibles from a longer term perspective. And that's why I'm waiting. And I'm going to be doing some videos on inflation and my thoughts on it and the collectible space. But anyways, guys, I wanted to hear your opinion. I know some people are going to say, no, it's manipulation. Okay, let me know why you disagree with me. I'm just sharing my thoughts. This is my opinion. And, I don't have many people to talk to this about. None of my friends look at this stuff. And I talked to my wife and other people, and they said that I'm obsessed. So that's why I go on YouTube. That's another reason. And I want to hear your opinion. Anyways, guys, let me know what you think. Smash that like button. Subscribe if you haven't. Comment down below, guys. Thank you. Bye.